From micronations ruled by deranged flat-pack dictators, to areas of the store where the staff are even more aggressive and dangerous. From places that will warp your body and soul, to monstrous beings that want to eat you like Swedish meatballs. Grab your IKEA map, and whatever improvised weapon you can, because we're heading into SCP-3008's 15 deadliest zones. Number 15. The Pillar Forest. This seems to be some kind of strange mutation of what was once a warehouse section of the store, perhaps never even intended to be seen by the eyes of the customers. A wide open space filled with pillars in utterly random configurations. It's always dark here due to the broken lights up above, and the shadowy shapes of staff have been seen loping from pillar to pillar, perhaps engaging in some kind of ambush. This is believed to be a particularly hazardous place for citizens of the Infinite Ikea to go. The anomalous acoustics create a nerve-rattling echo, making it impossible to tell by hearing alone when something with lethal intent is sneaking up right behind you. Number 14. The Blood-Stained Aisle. If you find yourself wandering the non-Euclidean halls of the Infinite Ikea and happen to spot an aisle of the showroom that looks strangely red, that's your cue to turn your butt around and run as fast as you can. Though, to be fair, if you need to be told that about a hallway that's dripping with blood, we already have concerns for your safety. And it's not just because it's creepy or that the blood presents a slip hazard, though it definitely is both of those things, but this aisle seems to have some frightening anomalous effects on both the staff and the unwilling citizens of SCP-3008. Staff have been known to experience bloodlust in this area, a term used by the locals resulting in increased strength and aggression. The area also seems to cause some visual and auditory hallucinations. You might hear a voice begging for help or beckoning you in, or a plate of delicious, nutritious meatballs laying on the ground amongst the blood. Don't be tempted. It's trying to lure you to your doom. Number 13. The IKEA Family Kiosks. You might have seen an equivalent section to this in your normal, non-anomalous IKEA. It's a series of large, orange automated booths with touchscreens, emblazoned with the words, "The IKEA Family, join us," up above the screen. Of course, in this context, they just mean joining up for a family membership that can offer you discounts and deals as an incentive to shop for more furniture at the stores. But in SCP-3008, this takes on a far more sinister second meaning. For some, the days, weeks, months, or even years spent in the Infinite Ikea can drive you to a state of paranoid madness. Whether it's foraging for food just to survive, the risk of getting lost, or fending off endless nightly attacks from the staff, at some point, it's easy to give up. You might even think, if you can't beat them, join them. And that's exactly what you can do at the IKEA Family Kiosks. In your deepest moment of despair, you will somehow find them. And when you do, by interfacing with the touchscreens, you can agree to give up your humanity and be transmuted into a member of staff for the rest of time. You truly will have joined the IKEA family. Number 12. The Back Corner. Sometimes it isn't the staff that kills you. It really is just the nonsense geography of the place itself. Such is the case if ever you find yourself trapped, doomed soul that you are, in a zone that citizens like to call the Back Corner. It's a place where the layout of the store is particularly circuitous and confusing, with so many more dead ends, trails that loop back around to one another, and corners and passages that become uncomfortably narrow. It's almost like the Paris catacombs, except with more flat-pack furniture. The threat in the back corner isn't the staff, your fellow man, or even supernatural influences. It's the simple and ruinous human tendency to get lost while in a state of panic. And if you get lost here, especially at night while trying to evade the staff, there's a good chance that you'll never find your way back to a settlement. People like this are sometimes found years later as desiccated corpses, dehydrated, and starved. Number 11. The Flickering Light Zone. As any citizen of the Infinite Ikea knows, the substitute for day and night within these accursed Scandinavian halls are the alternating 12-hour systems of the store lights. Luckily for everyone trapped there, The staff are known only to attack during the night portion of the alternating shifts. This isn't the case inside the flickering light zone. Here, the lights up above are malfunctioning and will periodically flicker with no rhyme or reason. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense given the name, doesn't it? This isn't only dangerous to people who suffer from photosensitive epilepsy and migraines. In this area, the staff behave erratically, jolting between passive and extremely aggressive states regardless of the time of day. They're not any stronger than the normal variants, but have been said by some to be faster and more unpredictable in their movements too. Number 10. The Brutal Beastro. In the Infinite Ikea, food is a constant concern, just as it is out here in the non-anomalous world. The difference is you can't order Grubhub in the Infinite Ikea, and the kind of deals you get in there certainly don't make you want to boogie. Sometimes your quest for food, either following your nose or the threads and markers left by magnanimous fellow survivors, will take you to the IKEA cafe or restaurant. There, you'll be able to fill up on provisions and take them back to resupply your camp or larger settlement. But if you instead end up at the Brutal Beastro, you'll never be seen again. Well, as something recognizable as human anyway. That's because the Brutal Beastro is inhabited by a monstrous variant of the staff playfully nicknamed the Swedish Chef by Infinite Ikea citizens. It is a many-limbed creature, spider-like in proportion and movement, with its misshapen staff member head splitting open into a tooth-lined maw. And in whatever limbs it isn't using to walk, it carries knives and cleavers, which it uses to turn any unfortunate ingredients that it happens to catch into very spicy meatballs. Number 9. The Autonomous Junta of General Vardigan. Generally, if you're wandering around the Infinite Ikea and happen to find a settlement, a town-sized encampment made out of furniture and populated by a cooperative of other trapped people, you've been a very lucky person indeed. While there are hundreds of these settlements out there, hundreds aren't all that much in the scope of infinity. And if the settlement you may wander into is the Autonomous Junta of General Vardigan, then you might just be better off leaving and taking your chances with the staff. General Vardigan was no general on the outside. He was a loser whose life had fallen apart, trying to buy a new bedside table for his apartment after his wife kicked him out. But in the blank slate of the IKEA, he rebranded himself as a glorious leader, running his own little tin pot dictatorship with a cult of loyal followers. And if you don't recognize him as the true and sovereign ruler of all of IKEA, then his boys might just execute you for treason. Number 8. The Infinite Drop-Off. This one is as simple as it is terrifying. It's a huge hole in the middle of one of the aisles, just dropping off into oblivion below. Citizens have tried dropping large, heavy objects into the hole to time the distance between drop and landing, but the object either never lands or lands so deep that the noise doesn't carry back up to the surface. And yet, you can always hear the screams coming up from the bottom. In other words, we'd advise you to do whatever you can in order not to fall in, or your own wailing voice might just find itself joining in with the great damned chorus. Number 7. The Smallen Children's Corner. Every IKEA worth its salt has the creche for dropping off young kids while you and your partner wander around and argue about furniture. For someone under the age of 15, having to walk around a furniture store for a few hours should probably legally qualify as torture, just like the torture you'll experience at the Smallen Children's Corner in the Infinite Ikea. It's become the lair of a deranged man calling himself Max the Clown, a face-painted serial killer who's constantly putting on shows for anyone who wanders into the Technicolor corner that he's claimed as his own. He performs shows for hours on end, and he'll take great offense to anyone expressing discomfort or trying to leave. He'll then show them exactly how he feels with a selection of very sharp objects. Nobody ever seems to see Max the Clown eating or sleeping. Some theorize that he's kept alive by the store itself, energized as an honorary member of staff. We just know that we wouldn't want to get close enough to ask him about it, since he doesn't have a history of playing well with others. Number 6. The Screaming Shelves. This catchy little alliterative nickname yet again really undersells how frightening and dangerous this part of the store is. It's a particularly janky and disorganized passage, bordered on all sides by insane collages of tables, desks, closets, and bed frames. This on its own isn't that remarkable. What is remarkable are the sounds of screaming and whispering that seems to seep out from in between the cracks. Hearing any of these induces a heightened sense of paranoia and dread, with some listeners even breaking down and describing an immense feeling of impending doom. Nobody really knows why it's here or what's causing it, but some of the IKEA elders think that it's another living manifestation of the store itself as one giant organism. They theorize that the store as an entity feeds on the fear and pain of those trapped within its belly, and in places like this, it consciously drives up that fear and pain to ensure that its endless appetite are always satisfied no matter what. Number 5. The ASIS Department. In the regular store, the ASIS Department is an excellent area if you'd like to grab a good deal on the way out of the store, so long as you're okay with second-hand goods. As you've probably become experienced enough to put together by now, in the Infinite Ikea, it's a whole lot less wholesome and practical. The ASIS Department is a graveyard of vengeful furniture, imbued with the tortured souls of the people who have died in the store. While standing among the furniture, which looks far older and dustier than everything else in the store, you're vulnerable to the dark whims of these Nordic revenants. You should try to avoid this place at all costs. But if you do ever happen to end up here, it's vital that you remain respectful and stay silent, avoiding opening your mouth entirely if you can. That's because if you open your mouth, you risk one of these ghosts leaping down your throat and possessing you to get another chance at the life they lost. And yeah, having your personality overridden and your body turned into a living puppet is every bit as pleasant and enjoyable as it sounds. Which is to say, not at all. Number 4. The Fracta Tribe home base. The staff are extremely dangerous in numbers, everyone knows that. But alone? Not so much. They're misshapen and clumsy, and they don't so much fight tactically as barrel in and just try to beat you to death with their big, meaty fists. If you're not in one of the extra anomalous areas that power them up, most of the time you and your companions can take them in a pitched battle. But if you see a group of staff that don't behave like that, they fight tactically, they sneak, they set traps, use weapons, then you're probably not dealing with the staff at all. Far worse, in fact, you're probably dealing with the Fracta Tribe. They are a group of highly aggressive and even more highly combat-effective humans who have figured out a grisly way to avoid being attacked by the staff. They skin dead staff members and wear the pelts over their own bodies. And with this cover from the staff, they engage in guerrilla warfare against unlucky humans who aren't already in their tribe. They cannot be reasoned with, and you are also extremely unlikely to beat them in a fight, unless you've got an army with you. It's better to just hope you never run into them at all. Number 3. The Mirror Aisle. This is another eerie area that can mess with your head. It's a long corridor with what seems to be several non-anomalous IKEA's worth of home mirrors lined up to create a perfect tunnel of infinite reflections. Walking through it is an extremely disorienting feeling, and the increased visibility leaves you extremely open to attack. But even more frightening than this is the psychological aspect. Sometimes the reflections in the mirrors are delayed, or perform actions that you haven't performed at all, seemingly purely for the purpose of messing with you. Some people have reported even seeing the reflections of their friends and companions dying in the mirrors as they walked through, moments before they bought the farm for real. Number 2. Recycling services. We mentioned in passing earlier that the staff are most dangerous in numbers, and nowhere is the population of staff denser or more territorial than recycling services. Here, staff members bring back the bodies of their fallen and the bodies of dead humans and feed them into huge recycling machines. The exact mechanism for how these machines work is unclear, but what we know for sure is that dead staff members and people get put into the machines and living staff members come out. Avoid going to this place at all costs if life has any value for you. And number 1, exchanges and returns. In many ways, this is the most frightening part of the store, especially if you're not someone currently trapped in it. Finding the fabled exchanges and returns department is one of the hardest tasks in the entire store, second only to finding the regular exit. But what it allows you to do is so much worse. If you find the exchanges and returns section, you can make a terrible deal. You can escape, but one person, a family member or a friend, will forever take your place. Is freedom worth that much to you? And if you're one of the lucky billions still on the outside, how much do you think you can really trust your friends? Still don't want to leave the horror of the Infinite Ikea just yet? Then check out SCP-096 trapped inside Infinite Ikea. Can SCP-3008 employees see Shy Guy? And can SCP-049 cure the pestilence in SCP-3008 Infinite Ikea? For more.